Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. Hopefully, we will have people joining us soon as we're using this new software that they have, which really sucks when you get down to it, and seems to just enable greater control over us instead of us.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody is able to talk in there. I just said hi, but oh, there she is. There's that sassy Susie. Hi, you guys. Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining us. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And I guess we should say, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now, guys? Can anybody hear us? Because you never know. We've been turned off so many times.
You have
Hey,
like a 15-second lag.
do we?
Mm-hmm. We do. Yeah, I'll say hi again and watch how long it takes for me to get up there.
So I see Valerie's in the house. Christine's in the house. Hope you guys are doing well. Scooty Double Alpha. Jenny, Dominic Kenyon, Mercy Anonymous, Rick Moore. Good. Okay, so you guys can hear me. Very clear in New Zealand. So, how you guys doing? I mean, how are you doing? Lots of changes here. I just used like 5 of our last eggs, and I always cook with onions. Yeah, I love onions. My mom was that way too. And did an omelet, and we only have 1 onion left, so I'm saving it. We have some that are hopefully going to start growing, but just like a lot of you guys, now I know people are still making food runs and stuff. We've chosen to just stay pat, but again, you might stay pat, and you might walk past the path of somebody, and who knows. Although I feel, and Cindy feels the same, that the most important thing is keeping our vibes high.
Yeah, that's kind of like a thing that keeps coming through across the board with a lot of people who are tapping into the powers that be, is keeping your vibe high, keeping your human integrity intact, keeping your code of conduct, at the highest possible place that you can think of or that you're aware of. And there might be a lot of things that we don't know, but as you know better, you do better. It's about being a better person, being in a higher place right now.
Well, definitely. That is of prime importance right now. Absolute prime, because we could see humanity is, in some cases, really descending.
Mm-hmm.
There are some people, unfortunately, that are just doing things that are unfathomable right now that you just can't understand. Why would somebody act that way? But it's important for us not to let that spread.
Yeah, and it's important to really go within and be good to yourself, be good to your fellow man. Most of us have already chosen the path, the path that we're going to walk on. And if you haven't, now's a really good time to go within and find your heart and follow that path. Find out who you are. What are you about? Get curious about yourself. Listen to, we have a lot of technology still right now. Listen to a lot of nature, like birds chirping, frogs croaking, stuff like that. And something tells me that that's going to help people find out more about what they can do, what they're good at, what feels good. It's about getting to know yourself right now, I think.
Connect through the heart chakra. That's the thing. Connect through the heart chakra. This this is going to be an incredible trial by fire for the entire world, and that's the bottom line here. Ray's in the house. Good to see you, brother. Mercy Anonymous says we just got a public safety alert. Stay home if 65 or older or have health problems. Gulf Breeze, Florida. Yeah, it's getting crazy out there. Crazy. And last night were just kind of chilling out there, and my mind was blown by how beautiful and bright the stars are last night. They were incredible. And so we were just watching the stars, and then we started to notice, there's not a lot of regular aircraft in the air now. And we started to notice a lot of stuff. And Patty's asking, where do we live? We've relocated to the southwestern part of the U.S. And because there are things going on, and people probably will be missing, we're not going to say exactly where we are. But we've, basically took a piece of land and are working with it now. And wow, what we were watching last night was just freaking crazy. And I think almost it's like the Starling Satellites, is not that they're not real, but that fact that they're up there, now they could blame everything on Starling Satellites. When you start to see crazy things up in the sky, I mean, it was just crazy. What we were watching, all the activity up there, so many different things. And I got some photos for you guys. I wish I could get a better video to come out, but I just snapped some photos, and I think we caught some of it, but the activity was mind-blowing.
So Everett and Zeke, Everett is ready with his earmuffs for my roar. That's great, because I always worry about your guys' ears, but then I like to do the roar because that always makes some of our subs happy. So, okay, you ready? Get your watch your ears. Ready? Roar! I know.
She's a putty tat.
I'm a putty tat. I am. I'm pretty, yeah, pretty laid back, pretty mellow. We did see some things in the sky last night which were totally phenomenal, which was fun. Got some crazy pictures of it too. Hi, Raven. Hi, Miss Patty. Miss Queen Star Sophia. Zeke for Canada. Matilda. DG57. How are you guys? It's great to see everybody here.
And we've been going within a lot, as well as just basically trying to get a homestead going. And the messages are coming through loud and clear. They are coming through loud and clear. And a lot of you guys watch Cosmic Agency and other people. What's the red-haired lady that?
Her. I really like her.
There's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of people out there that right now are channeling, and we're all getting the same message basically for the most part. And that is that, there is a war going on in the heavens over our heads, and what's going to come is going to, in some places, some minds are going to be just completely shaken. And some people are going to lose it. I mean, we're already seeing people lose it because of lockdown, because of, National Guard out in the streets. I mean, so, like when we started rolling out with some of the pictures and stuff, there were a lot of people saying, oh, you're fear-mongering. That's not real. That happens all the time. Well, obviously, this doesn't happen all the time. And we were talking about this. And, I've known this time would come for 30 years. Magenta Pixie, yes. So Magenta Pixie, Cosmic Agency, obviously, the grandmother of so much of this, well, one of the grandmothers is Barbara Marciniak, channeling the Pleiadians. There are Pleiadian energies in our atmosphere even right now. So, there's not just Pleiadians. There's a lot of different life forms out there. So I know a lot of people, there are those that believe everything's just either demons, angels, or God and humans, and there's nothing else. But there's many different types of life forms out there, interdimensional, extraterrestrial, good, bad, neutral, all of it. And, right now, the Earth is one of those places that has tons of people watching, beings watching us, watching what's happening, because they know what's happening. They know this is a key time. I think there's beings that are watching us and kind of rooting us on and saying, Come on, guys. You could wake up. You could do it. Come on. Come on. Don't you see the bigger picture here? You got to wake up. Time is short to wake up. And that's really the truth. And then there are beings that are doing their best to impose their will on us and maintain their power. And the thing is that they're coming out of the woodwork a little bit now. They're letting themselves, well, maybe they're not letting themselves be seen, but we can see them. And, and there's other people that are waking up because of all the cosmic rays coming in that's changing our DNA and increasing our psychic abilities. And we're becoming more multidimensional. We're becoming more aware of our multidimensionality. And that's the biggest part of this, because they will not be able to control us anymore. So, what do they do when they can't control us? Well, they have a reset. That's the big thing. And that's what they're trying to do right now. And they will try to get us to kill ourselves. So, they don't have to do a lot of work that way. They could sit back and munch popcorn and watch the show. And that's what, with a little tweak here, a little tweak there, feeding false info, feeding fear, feeding phobia, feeding anger, feeding hatred and division, which they do so well. They're masters at this. They've done it for thousands of years to humanity. And so they're ratcheting it up again. And we could look at this as another Tower of Babel incident. We could look at this as another potentially Younger Dryas incident coming, where Enlil is just going to say, get rid of them. Although it's more than just one being named Enlil. There's a lot of different beings here. You have the Anunnaki, you have the Draco, you have the Greys, the tall Greys, the short Greys. The Greys are worker bees too. So you'll see even some other factions will have Greys under their quote-unquote employee, I guess you could say, or working with them. And there's many different types of Greys at that, as well as other ETs that are around us. There's a lot of opportunists here right now, too. You could view that like, there's cosmic looters here right now that are going to try to, just see what they could scavenge, because that's what's going on. There's such a disruption of energies, and there are battles underway. And we'll see how this manifests, because there's potential with different timelines. But yeah, there's all sorts of stuff over our heads.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's and with people waking up too, that really concerns me, because I spent a considerable amount of my life with doctors trying to figure out what was wrong with my brain and giving me this medication and that medication, on and on and on, trying to shut stuff down and turn stuff on and off. And I didn't realize that I was simply hearing from different beings or different dimensions. I didn't understand that, and once I understood that, then everything was okay. But I do think that part of it is we are getting more sensitive. We are going to be experiencing higher anxiety if we don't know what's going on. But it's really important just to tell yourself that you're okay. It's normal, whatever normal looks like there is a normal. But if it's in your world, then it's normal for you and it's okay. Just, hold on to that and know that. Don't lose it, because I think in a way, part of what they could do is, they already have things lined up, and they have it outlined what is perceived as crazy. And if you fit in those borders, then they can, kind of haul you off to a hospital. So, you don't want to, you just want to hold on to yourself, hold on to your heart, hold on to those that you love. Be a good person, really, is what it all amounts to, and just accept yourself as you are. So these are what we got last night, and these are like blown up, of course, but this was really cool. Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
So, what I think is so nice is just the fact that I know there was higher intelligences that put Cindy and I together. And it's because, I don't know, we kind of work well together. There's something like in her perception and my perception where we are like tuned in to different spectrums, but together we get like a complete picture, which is really awesome. So last night, I just felt the pull to look in a certain direction. And I saw like there was two stars lined up in a straight line. And I noticed what looked to be perhaps a plane or something going across the sky. And then it was curious because when the plane got to a certain spot, it got like 10 times brighter and it kind of elongated. It's like it was the weirdest thing, really. And then it went into where those two stars were lined up and disappeared. And then what was curious was as soon as it approached where the two stars were lined up, another one came. And you could see it dimly coming. And then when it hit a certain spot, the exact same spot, it flashed bright, like it was hitting some sort of energetic area that was causing it to glow. And if you guys got a chance to look at the moon last night, spectacular. Well, when it glowed, it was way brighter than the moon. Way brighter than the moon was last night. And the moon was, it's been like a silhouette. But it got so bright. It was spectacular. And so, one went by, two went by, three went by. I stopped counting at like 14 or 15, and they were still going by. And, then I said to Cindy, it must have been like 20, 24 by now. They were at perfect intervals. And so, I asked her to tune in. What do you get? Because she could tune in so well. And, she said she was seeing. Well, I'll let her describe.
I know, it sounds crazy. I got these beings that they were quite happy. They have almost like a dinosaur-ish looking face. They're bipedal, 2 arms, 2 legs, but they had tentacles on their faces. So that was really interesting. They were high vibe little creatures. They were happy to be where they were at. I believe, they're part of the Federation of Light, maybe even gatekeepers. So they were just having a great old time up there.
And describe what they look like.
Yeah, I was telling them how they have tentacles and tentacles on their faces, and their noses were almost like a beak, kind of. So I guess if you were, which is that, Star Wars or something, where?
Well, we were trying to find like something that would match, but there wasn't really anything that matched exactly what these things look like as far as we could find. But like she said, they were just happy little worker bees. And it kept going on when we went to bed. So, I mean, I'm estimating that I would say there was at least 50 ships, if not more. It might have been in the hundreds. It was just going on nonstop, just constant. It was just one after another after another. And then I said to her, look at those two stars. And then we were watching it and we saw that it really was more of a gigantic ship that actually did look a lot like the big ships from Star Wars. It looked a lot like that. It was kind of triangular, but not exactly triangular. Not like a TR-3B, kind of like a triangle on top of a rectangle, longer. And, that thing it had to be massive. I mean, massive size, mind-blowing size. Incredible. And so I was wondering if these ships were all, going into this mothership, and was that the impression you got?
It felt like a gatekeeper type thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Some sort of, either that or it's creating some sort of vortex. And it was mind blowing. There was other things out there too. And we've seen stuff, out in the desert in Arizona and in California and in Nevada, in different spots. We've seen a lot of anomalous stuff. But this was on such a massive scale. It was just wild, and if it wasn't for her impressions, I would say, well, maybe it was even, the Star Force, the Space Force that we have, because, that's after the fact. They're letting us know, in reality, China, Russia, us, we were all out there. And, I think that, they're just now letting us know, because we're going to start to see a lot of stuff that's going to blow minds.
Yeah, and you were bringing up a really good point about maybe they're saying that the Starfleet is up there, or what are those satellites called? Those satellites, maybe there's,
Starling.
yeah, the Starling Satellites. Maybe there's really no Starling Satellites. Maybe they just know that we are going to have visitors from space and they need a cover, to say, well, no, these aren't aliens. These are the Starling Satellites. I don't know anymore. Everything that we've ever been taught, we need to unlearn and really go back to nature. And that's why I think it's a really good idea to listen to nature sounds in the daytime. Maybe instead of a lot of the music, switch to nature sounds while you're doing what you do and go within a little bit, just to see what comes to you. Get in touch with yourself.
And so you can see this photo, and I thought, well, maybe my hand moved and it caused a blurring effect, but it's not the case, because there's other objects on here that aren't blurred like this. A lot of people have seen these like rods up in the sky, and it's just curious, when you look at this, because this is part of the same photo. If we go away, let's see if I bring it out a little bit. So you see, this isn't blurred. If it was a blurring effect, this would be blurred as well. Those aren't blurred. Those are still staying where they are. And then you have these, over here, and then these over here. So, these are, I don't know. I mean, to me, I don't know. Now, this is where I asked Cindy, because I think, she gets more detail. Why these different colors? What are these things? I have no clue. But all I know is this is part of the activity we were watching last night. And I gotta wonder too, because they would look circular, like when once we were showing over there. They hit this area and then they just sort of disappear, like perhaps it's a portal. Maybe this is when they're starting to interact with the portal. Maybe they're starting to get beamed up, Scotty. I mean, I don't know. Or are these totally different beings? When I look at this one too, I mean, I almost see a face and a head, like a gray alien on it, and of course this has to be huge. So I'm stumped. I don't know, but what's your impression?
They are like little travelers, and I think they are of slightly different vibrations and frequency, and that's why you have the different colors. But I also believe that's why you can see a face on one of them. And they could be like time jumping. They could be, and maybe I've heard of jump rooms, but it definitely feels like they're travelers and they have something to do. Also, you see them together, so maybe they're on a mission or something like this.
Yeah. You look at the colors. This one here is red, and there's 3 little lights there. This is totally different.
Different frequencies.
This is different. Now that looks like a gray alien's head to me, but again, these things must be, from the distance we were at, they got to be more than hundreds of feet long, because these appeared to be over the mountains that were way in the distance. So I don't know. I mean, I've seen rods before, and are they? These feel like they're beings to me. I'll get that much. It doesn't feel like a ship so much as far as the impressions that I get.
Rosemary is saying, didn't Naughty Beaver do a show on these last year? I think, yeah. He did. He did a show on some beings like moving through dimensional, and some people are saying, yeah, they're here for the show, and they could very well be. These ones in particular, they feel like they're more on a mission though.
Do you get, are they malevolent, benevolent, or just doing their own thing?
I get that they're working for somebody, but I don't think that they're bad, so there's that.
Very curious, and I'm not sure what you guys are saying as far as what you guys can see. Does anybody have any impressions? Because I know we have a lot of gifted people here. What are your impressions on this?
What did they say?
Merkava
Ah,
travelers.
Merkava travelers. That sounds good.
That would make sense to
Yeah,
me.
yeah, definitely.
I could see that if that's a Merkava, like a light body traveler. Um,
Power Rangers,
Power
yeah,
Rangers.
that's great. Well, in a way, because I do feel like they all have different abilities, so, and if they know how to travel with their light bodies, that makes sense to me.
Higher dimensional beings, light energy beings. Yes, yes, I agree with these.
Mm-hmm.
Those other things felt most definitely like ships, but these feel a little bit different. But they're in the same area, so it's curious. I mean, they were traveling in an absolute perfect line, pretty much. It was just really interesting, and we've seen so much stuff out here. You guys that have been with us for a long time, you've seen some of the like the strange metallic-looking orbs like that we have had flying around, as well as little drones that have come by. I mean, I've gotten so many shots. And so Jenny says, what is Merkaba? Now, Merkaba is the light body, and that's the vehicle for traveling interdimensionally, and that is part of the part of the process of ascension is that we fully activate our Merkaba so we could travel interdimensionally. And so these are beings that they're a higher density, probably perhaps 5D. Or 4D, at the minimum, but probably 5D beings that are able to travel anywhere in space-time at any time.
Yeah, definitely. I think this happens to us a lot, and someone says, were we just taking too much acid last night or what? That's a typical mentality they want everybody to think, because once we do start seeing things, and we are, it's just really easy to dismiss it and say, well, you're just whacked, you're just crazy. I've dealt with that all my life, and been dismissed and shut down and turned away. And it's because of that attitude, really. And when a lot of us now are being turned on, our energies are being turned on, we can reach out and feel what things are, it's going to be the typical to try to shut it down.
Yeah, exactly. That's what the mainstream's always done. Oh, you're hearing voices in your heads. Well, you got schizophrenia. Let's put you on some drugs. Because the reality is you're able to actually hear people from the other side, hear people in other densities. And you're just able to manipulate your radio knob to tune into other frequencies where most people, aren't. And most people are unfortunately eating junk food and drinking fluoridated water and have absolutely no sense of anything but what's right in front of them, unfortunately. But with these times, this is all going to be increasing, and more people are recognizing, now, I hope there's good food available for everybody, and people are growing their own, because, we've been dumbed down. Most definitely. We have been dumbed down. We have been fed so much BS, really, everything to lock us down into a really limited perspective. And, that's obviously the case here. There's a lot of stuff going on.
There is, and I think it is time that, I don't know, that could be part of what's happening too, is they know that we're going to start knowing things and it's inevitable, and they need to lock that down too. And one way is to try to keep us separate, which isn't a very nice thing to do, but for now we have the technology, and for now, we are talking amongst each other and getting new ideas and learning different things. And that's really important. It's really important that we can actually share these ideas, because it wasn't always like that. It was mostly if you shared what was going on with you, you get locked up. That's how it was not very many years ago. And look how far we've come. We can actually talk about it on an open platform without too much pushback or too many naysayers, because what we're seeing is what we're seeing. It's very real.
Exactly. So, in these times too, you're going to just wake up the people you can wake up, and then you just block out the trolls, because there's going to be people that have that troll-like tendency that are going to be knocking down little old ladies and stealing her last cookie. And that's sad. But those people are going to be, they'll get their karmic retribution. And that's why we have to stay high vibe and be as high vibe as possible and don't get pulled into the karmic loop. Because, karma is manifesting almost instantly now. Instantly. Everything is speeding up. Because we're heading up through, in my opinion, right now, we're heading into the lower astral realm, which is a place where there's a lot of nasty stuff. This is like the home of those shadow beings, the wraiths, the dark creatures, and the stuff that's been plaguing us for so long. And, eventually we're going to pass up and through that, and then they're not going to be able to touch us anymore. And that's the bottom line. So they know it. They're trying to grab onto our ankles and keep us from ascending and from going higher. And that they'll do anything they can. And they could definitely get into, especially weak-minded people with, very, very little spiritual orientation, that allow like the lower vibes to control them. And when we see some horribly brutal acts and you wonder what type of human could do that, often they truly are under the influence of these dark energies. They're taking them over. And, so in some ways, it's true as far as like possession and being influenced by these nasty vibed beings.
And there's, you can control that. You can turn it off. I know it's difficult. Like when you're an empath, you tend to pick up the information that when you're talking to another person. I haven't exactly found the knob to turn that off yet. But just knowing that you are an empath and these energies, they're more like kind of like invading you, is for me to know that it's not me helps tremendously. It does. It's like, okay, so this isn't all about me. You mean those weren't my thoughts and my feelings? No, they're not. So you. I think that's why it's so important and why I'm getting the information to tell people to really study your heart right now. Get to know you. You're like, who are you? Because in these times when we're so empathic, we're going to need to know, like, is this me or is this not me? And like, if something doesn't make sense and you're still thinking it and feeling it, and it's going round and round, then it's probably not you. And it's okay. And it's a normal thing.
So yeah, what we're looking at is just a photo that we took last night, and we'll see what we see tonight too. There's going to be a light show every night. I think there's a lot up in the sky. There's all sorts of beings, as we're talking about. So this is part of a much bigger battle that's ongoing, not just on Earth in 3 and 4D, but also on other places too, other planes of existence. This is huge, the times that we're in right now. Huge. And, it's up to each one of us to hold as high a vibe as possible. And obviously we know all the stuff going on right now is most certainly stuff that can make people terrified. And that's part of why it's happening. It's in purpose to make us terrified. It's in purpose to make us terrified so that we'll give away our free will, and so that we'll succumb to these darker forces and allow them to continue to control us. And that is the case. And yet there's all these other entities around us, some indifferent, some opportunistic, and many benevolent, cheering us on as well. And so, there are ones that are out there and ready to help. If we could get enough people to a higher vibration, perhaps the death, destruction, and suffering could be alleviated. Yeah. Most definitely that's the message. And Cindy was deep in meditation this morning and was connecting to the Earth's energies, because the Earth is a living being. It's a conscious living being, and everything that we see is consciousness. Everything's energy. Energy can't be created or destroyed. It just can change forms, and everything is consciousness. Consciousness comes first. Matter is an emanation that comes from consciousness. And so, these are vehicles. And just like the Bhagavad Gita says, when garments are worn out, you throw them away and you get some new clothes. And it's the same thing with the spirit, with the soul. And, it basically leaves one vessel for another. But we are in times where we can get beyond, potentially, for some, actually even get beyond the physical in this lifetime. There's been instances, if you guys are familiar with the Tibetan rainbow body, there's been so many Buddhist monks that have been there and then they're not. They have basically ascended through their focus and their intention and holding their vibrations high. And then we have beings that could do miracles, like we saw, with Christ and with Krishna and with, it goes on and on. There's a huge list. There's so many yogis that have been seen either levitating or even bilocating, being in two places at one time. There's also Catholic saints that were seen bilocating. St. Francis of Assisi was seen levitating. It's not about dogma at all. And honestly, I think when we come out of these times, there will be no more dogma. Dogma will be all gone because that's completely a human construct. And we're going to enter a whole new world and a whole new reality and a whole new understanding of consciousness and exactly what we are.
Right. And Optimus said something really beautiful here. The wisdom that need no words, the intuitive heart sense, we can distinguish the true from the false. Yeah, and I do believe that's exactly why I'm getting these messages, to tell people to raise their vibration. And another thing that's really important is don't play games with your fellow man. I know this whole world is one big game, and it's almost like you can't eat, drink, breathe, or have a conversation without playing some sort of mind game with another person. And that needs to stop. That's part of the lower vibration that is holding us down as a species, like we're locking each other down. So getting to be your truest self, getting to understand yourself so that you know more when you're being played by different energies, that's really important. And that's what I keep getting. And just doing that is going to help raise your vibration.
And that's the most important thing for each individual right now, is raising your vibration. Because when it comes to even the CV-19, my gut tells me if we stay high vibe, we'll be okay. But if we lower, then we're going to be susceptible. That's just what my intuition is telling me. And I think Cindy's gotten the same message too.
Oh God, it is so strong. It brings tears to my eyes when I think about how simple it could be to raise our vibrations, just going within and stop playing the games. Just stop. It really needs to stop. We live in a highly narcissistic society where everybody's trying to get one up on the next person. And, we're just holding each other down.
So in this picture, like if you look over here, this is the moon and this was Venus last night. Up there, I think that was Venus in the moon. Because I remember all the action was happening kind of right under the moon and then heading towards the east. So, very curious. We'll see what we get tonight. Just interesting stuff. These definitely look like some sort of light bodies, Merkavas, light beings. Very cool. And again, it's not that the camera is moving, causing that, because you got circular objects on this side. So they were the thing that was the difference. Very interesting. But we were talking about consciousness, and we're talking about how important it is to keep yourself up. You got to stay away. There's going to be so many people that are going to do horrible things, unfortunately. Like there was another video out of people dumping urine on people passing by underneath them. And we've heard of people spitting on food and trying to infect things, on purpose. Now that's that demonic activity that we're talking about. And so if you're of lower vibration, these things will they're like the little devil on the shoulder on one side, and then you got the angel on the other side. Well, the angel's getting drowned out. And we're heading into where these, they're demonic energies is what they really are. We're heading into their home frequency because we have to pass through the lower astral realm before we can start getting into the middle and upper astral realms, where things will start to get better. And we can manifest, a heaven on earth. But what's coming is, it's going to be a purge, and it's going to be a cleansing. And either way we look at it, it's coming, and the earth itself is wailing for the loss of her children. And that was coming through strong with Cindy. She just started to break out crying intensely today in the meditation, because she was getting that basically there's kind of an inevitability, because people won't release the lower vibes. They won't release the lower energies. And if they don't release them, they're going to be dragged down. And they're going to try to drag as many people down as possible with them. So you have to recognize that and don't get pulled into it.
It's really important. Really, really, really important. And it's across the board too. I'm not the only one getting this information that's feeling it so super strong, needing to almost pound it into people's heads to raise your vibration. We strengthen each other. Like if we ground on the earth, she strengthens us and we strengthen her. It's like a batteries, positive, negative. And they've taken these things away from us by like putting the shoes on our feet with rubber soles, putting us in vehicles, having like a ton of iron and rubber between us and the earth and covering her in concrete. It's just terrible.
Ray is talking about when people get closer to crossing over to death. Yeah, because I've seen death firsthand. I know many of us have that's worked in healthcare. What happens is a lot of times, if it's not instantaneous, if it's something like cancer claiming somebody or other health conditions, they start to jump back and forth. So, they're on the other side, and then they start to come back to waking consciousness, then they're on the other side. And then, a lot of times when they're on the other side, they can see dead relatives, they can see all sorts of people because they're really able to. They're not hallucinating, they're able to, and it's all, again, about our frequency. And when my mom just a few months ago was passing on, I knew the day before, because that she was in that state, because she was with me. I felt her come when I was doing my standing meditation, and I felt her touched my cheek, and then she tweaked my beard because she hated my beard. So I knew it was her, because what she was saying is, cut that thing off, because she just liked clean cut guys. So I knew it was her. I could recognize her touch. And then for a while after she did pass, she was around a lot. I could sense her, see her, and feel her. So we crossed through. It's just opening one door and walking through it. Death is really just a transition. And, it hits me that in our real reality here, it is so similar to being somebody playing a video game. While you're in the video game, especially if you're in one of those long RPGs, that go on forever, you could start to feel like you are that character that you created to play in this video game. And that's exactly what we really are, because we're the one playing the video game. We're not the body in the game. We're the controller of the body. We have a body in this 3D reality. That's how we get around. But we're not the body. We're way more than that. And we are actually eternal. So, our consciousness is going to always go on. But it will evolve in time to become more of a unity consciousness, which is, obviously not the place, not what we have on this planet right now. We are so far from unity consciousness that obviously there's no way everybody is going to make it, because unfortunately so many people have been so strongly infected by the dark energies that are here on the planet that it makes them unable to shed their crap. You have to acknowledge and release, and recognize, acknowledge and release. We could word it so many ways. And, we'll have people, there's one lady that always comes on, just warning of God's wrath and judgment and repent. I think, repent, it could be taken as a negative word. It has kind of like negative constructs. It's all about, unfortunately, the guilt and all. We can't allow guilt to control us. All we have to do is really let it go and just change who we are. Release the lower parts of us that no longer serve, the parts that, have the jealousies, that have the ego, that have, all the negative tendencies, and let those go. Forgive yourself. You got to forgive yourself. If you get down on yourself, you're not going to raise your vibe. So if you get down on yourself and you're, what do I know? I'm just a poor sinner, I'm doomed. No. You got to get that mentality out of your head. You are actually a divine being that doesn't even recognize the divinity that lies within you. And that's the bottom line. So you have to cultivate that instead of cultivating guilt, cultivating fear. Because again, fear or punishment, it's still fear. It's still fear. So we can't do it out of fear or punishment. We have to do it out of love and compassion for others.
Yeah, it's a whole lot of shadow work that needs to go on, it seems like. And all of us have it. We all have our shadows, and you want to be to that point where you're shining so bright that, there are no shadows. You just want to be that one bright, beaming diamond. And a lot of us have been through some pretty serious stuff, some really difficult times, and it's given us some pretty sticky attachments. But there's a way to work through it. There's mirror work. That's really important. You look at yourself in the mirror and you tell yourself, you say, I kick ass. I love myself. I'm getting better every day. That's a way to reach the higher self. And it's a very practical way. It's easy to do. It's quick, and just do it and mean it. And it only takes like a second. Just do that. Just see what happens after doing that for like a week. See how your life changes. That's your higher self really wants to connect with you. And I feel very strongly that all of our higher selves, whoever that self is, they are leaving us a path back to our future selves, if that makes any sense. And it's gonna come. It doesn't come super easy for a lot of people. You do have to do a lot of soul searching and digging, but now's the time to do it. And I would suggest the quickest, easiest way is to start with the mirror work.
Yeah, there's all sorts of techniques, as far as that goes, but we have to basically let go of that which no longer serves us and move forward. So one of the things we have to do is right now, and it's so freaking hard right now, right? I mean, you look at all the headlines, humanity's going crazy. And I think this event that we are witnessing right now is probably even appearing to be more intense, worse, more severe than any of us ever expected at this time and place. I mean, I'm guessing, that people are blown by the intensity and the severity that it appears to have. Again, and so it's going to drive people to gravitate towards that which has been controlling them. And you're going to have people being very, very predatorial. You're going to have people being very, very opportunistic. The danger is real in that sense that the blessing is right now, I think, for people like that are in our chat room right now that are awake. And I know I've talked to so many of you firsthand, and I know a lot of you guys, you see what we see. You could see and feel and sense other dimensional beings as well. You've had these type of experiences as well. There's tons of us that have. And many of us are what we would call star seeds and light workers. And this is why we're here, because we got to pull the rest of this humanity as much as possible up into a positive existence. It's all about intention. The world, the universe responds to our thoughts. So, we see everything that's going on. We acknowledge it. Like with the CV-19 thing now, it almost feels like it's there. It almost feels like there's no more sense talking about it, in some ways, because look at where we're at. It's more of a, how are we going to respond to this? How are we going to stay positive? How are we going to band together as best we can? We've been doing videos for 3 years of telling people to prepare physically, because we know now, obviously, we got food shortages, and we have more than that. Take care of your health has been something I've been talking about. Alkalize, get off the junk food, because those are the people that are going to succumb first to these things. Also, that lowers your vibration. So everything we've been talking about for 3 years, we can see it's all manifesting now. And the other component, which is going to be so obvious when people start seeing stuff that's going to, there's a biblical quote about men will die. They'll have basically instant heart attacks in fear over what they're seeing. Because, as I said, we're going into the lower astral realms. This is where those demonic energies live. This is their home territory. And, it's right here next to us. It's always been here. It's just been a bigger degree of separation in frequency. So, here is, we are going into hell on earth in a sense, but we have to hold on to our core and not let it pull us down, and not let it, hang on to us. Don't let it grab you by the ankles and keep you from going higher, because then we will end up with that situation for more and more people where they are literally living in a hellish nightmare. So it's a temporary thing that we're going through right now, and that's the grateful part of it. But it's like you have to go through this dark tunnel to get to the light on the other side.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we're all going to go through. And hold on here. It was Mark in the chat said that he had gone through, said today my mood energy shifted from happy, strong to sad, drained. What can I do? What I do, because that happens to me often, you're probably picking up energies around you, is I find an energy signature that I like, and it's happy, it's strong, whether it be a memory or, usually, you can conjure up a certain feeling signature through a memory, and try to grab onto that signature and hold it. And when you feel yourself slipping away, grab back onto that energy signature and repeat and keep doing that, and then hopefully it'll pass. It seems to work for me. Another thing that you might want to do, might try to consider, if you can't get out of a certain place, where your energy's up, down, grab a notebook, any notebook, just write it down, what's going on in your brain, and that you're tired of it, and close that notebook. Usually these are little tips and tricks that we got to do like all day, every day, to try to stabilize our energy. I know it's hard. I'm sorry.
And so, keep your eyes to the skies, guys, because there's a lot going on in this battle. And, this is a galactic, multi-dimensional battle going on right now. And the biggest key really is each one of our individual hearts and where it is, because that's the thing that matters the most. And we don't want to stay on a karmic loop. We want to try to rise up and above and escape that, and start to create and see clearly what it's going to look like as we are heading up towards that 5D reality. And really, we just have to escape and get through this lower astral realm. Robert Bruce wrote a good book called Astral Dynamics, and there might even be PDFs available where you could read it for free online, because he describes the astral realm so well. But if you want to see the best descriptions, it's really going into the Buddhist writings, because Buddhist monks have spent so much time on the astral. They have categorized it and cataloged it and talked about the different beings there, because so many of the benevolent beings that we might call gods and goddesses, they start on the upper astral realms and go up into the higher densities as well. So, there are benevolent beings that are waiting for us on the other side, and there are paradises that we can't think of as places like heaven. And it's all different. It's all basically frequency. And so the frequency of fear and hatred and jealousy and guilt and all those negative things, that's going to be lead weights around our legs, and it's not going to let us ascend to the good place. And that's what these dark entities want. They just want us sitting in the misery with them, because they're miserable and they can't escape it because they just don't have the love in their heart. They don't have that light in their heart to escape it. Perhaps some can in time, and right now this is our time to pass through this darkness and get to the light on the other side.
Yeah, definitely. It's time to get pretty serious. I mean, we've had a lot of time to play and grow and do what we do, and just really getting that we all need to go within. So yeah.
Yeah, so, Pew and Nicole, we're just going to share that love, because you guys, we love you both. So everybody's got to play nice, So recognize, too, we all have our little things, and there could be some things that just seem almost impossible for us to get away from. Whatever that, habit is, whatever that tendency is, maybe it's that giving a little dig here and there to a loved one. Just recognize little things like that clearly, and recognize when something we might say perhaps might be taken wrong. And so we're all gonna slip up. Allow yourself to forgive yourself for the slip up, because otherwise that'll start dragging you down too. And then just make a conscious effort not to do it again. And that's really how we will move forward.
It does. It takes a lot of taking responsibility for yourself, your actions, what you say, how you say it. And it's not very easy for a lot of people, but, there's no better time to start than nowish.
Most definitely, guys. So thank you for joining us on this live. We'll try to come back again before we, head off air again, and we'll cover some of the news, and we'll see how we could handle that in a positive manner. Thank you guys so much for your support and your well wishes. We love you guys dearly, and we need to come together and get stronger together and hold together. So much love, guys. Thank you so much.
God bless and namaste.
God bless and namaste.